On this Monday, the Reds are in Cleveland, and after 2 months since being here, this game will wrap up the season series between these two clubs. And yes, who will win the coveted Ohio Cup? That game on the line tonight as well. Reds and the Tribe here on Fox Sports Ohio. And a pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to Reds Baseball. Along with Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Jim Kelch. Well, Chris, the homestand obviously did not go as well as everyone had hoped it would. 2 wins and 8 losses. But one of the good things that came out of it were some hot bats. One of those belongs to the third baseman, Eugenio Suarez.
Well, Jim, you were in the dugout when I had a conversation with Eugenio Suarez about the change that he made at the batter's box. How he's holding his bat at a different angle, kind of resting it on his shoulder the way that Zach Cozart did. And he's having like Zach Cozart results, especially recently. He started at about 3 weeks ago before he ever heated up after the All-Star break. 7-game hitting streak. You see the batting average during that time, hitting the ball to all fields, but the confidence level for Suarez right now is soaring.
4 home runs during the homestand, and we can't wait to see him play here tonight in Cleveland. Now, from a pitching perspective, Tim Adelman on the mound for the Reds. He had a very good start his last time out.
Yeah, 6 innings, did not walk a batter. He struck out 7, gave up only 3 runs in that. He needed that, I can tell you, because Adelman, I think, was putting a little pressure on himself. But I also figured that, the Reds have a lot of young pitchers to take a look at. And you don't want to be the one guy in the rotation that is easily to replace. So he's got more motivation tonight. He does have a matchup again. Same thing that happened back in May when he took on Tomlin and the Cleveland Indians. And we'll see if a battle of right-handers who comes on top of this one.
One of the guys that Adelman will face tonight is the 3rd leading hitter in the league. He was a starting 3rd baseman for the American League All-Stars, and that is Jose Ramirez.
Well, he's a guy that came out of nowhere, although if you're a Reds fan and you were down in spring training the last few years, of course, the Indians and the Reds share a complex. We saw a lot of Jose Ramirez. This guy can flat out play. They've got a number of switch hitters in the lineup, and he's dangerous on both sides. But you can see since the middle of June, he is absolutely on fire, batting nearly 400 with 17 doubles.
Tim Adelman's mound opponent tonight will be the right-hander Josh Tomlin, coming off 2 very impressive starts.
Well, he's getting it together finally. I mean, the earned run average hasn't shown it yet, but the last couple of times out, he's thrown the ball as well as he has in back-to-back games all year long. 2-0 record. The Tribe are scoring a lot of runs on his behalf, by the way. Not overpowering. His fastball is only going to be about 90 miles an hour, but he's got a big overhand curveball that really gets the hitters off stride.
All right, a little bit cloudy on this Monday night here in Cleveland. We'll step aside when we come back. The Ohio Cup on the line. Jim Day will have more.
Day. It's a 4-city road trip for the Reds as part of our Elk and Elk storylines. As Chris Welsh aptly put it, it's the cycle road trip because they will play a 1-game series, a 2-game series, a 3-game series, and 4-game series. Cleveland, New York, Miami, and Pittsburgh in that order. 4 cities, 10 games in 11 days. And tonight, the Ohio Cup on the line. The Indians own it, but now that they play 4 games per season, you got to take 3 out of 4. The Reds can do that tonight because back on May 22nd, it was Scott Feldman who went 6 innings. He gave up only 1 earned run, and Alcantara with a beautiful squeeze. Reds won 5-1 next night in Cincinnati. The teams combined to hit 5 home runs, 4 though by the Indians and 2 by former Red Edwin Encarnacion. 8-7 Indians win. And who will forget May 24th, Billy Hamilton scores all the way from first base on that ball off the bat of Zach Cozart. Reds rallied in the 9th to win it, and they can take 3 out of 4 with a victory tonight and regain that coveted Ohio Cup. Can they get it? We'll find out together. It's the Battle of Ohio, Part 4. Home for Reds baseball, Fox Sports Ohio.
In May, and look at that top of that order for the Reds. Billy Hamilton and Zach Cozart. That leads us right into our IGAS, bringing the energy feature for tonight. The 1-2 punch at the top of the Reds order since the All-Star break. Billy Hamilton at 400, Cozart at 346. They've both done a heck of a job, and they are 1-2 in the lineup here tonight. Speaking of, here's the Reds starting lineup, courtesy of Menards. Billy Hamilton at the top, along with Cozart, then Votto. In the middle, it's Suarez, then Jeanette, then Devin Mesoraco doing the cash in this game. The bottom 3 include Schebler, Kivlahan getting the start in left, and batting 9th at second base is Jose Peraza. And on the mound for the Indians, it's the 32-year-old right-hander Josh Tomlin.
Well, 7 games over 500 he is in his major league career, has a 473 earned run average. This year, numbers are a little bit up for Josh Tomlin. Got off to a rough start. He's throwing the ball much better lately.
So it's Billy Hamilton against Josh Tomlin. Indians the top team in the American League Central. They start the day with a lead over the Kansas City Royals of a 1.5 games. And the first pitch misses for ball 1, and we are underway. There's their skipper, Terry Francona. unfortunately, due to some health issues, was not able to manage the American League All-Stars in that 10-inning win down in Miami. He's had some heart procedures, and he is A-OK as far as we know heading in to tonight's game. And certainly he rejoined the Indians club right after the All-Star break and their trip out west that started in Oakland. Billy slaps one toward the hole, and he's going to get on to start this game. That would figure to be a base hit. Billy came in hitting .258 overall, but had a terrific homestand of .400. And he is on to get this game started.
Now this is the approach I think everybody has wanted Billy Hamilton to try for a long time. Not sit back and try to hit line drives all over the ballpark and knock the walls down, certainly, but lay a bunt down, bring the infield in, slash it the other way, use your speed. And that may be, you know, we're seeing Billy Hamilton much better lately. And maybe this is an awakening that he's getting, that, you know, it's all coming together a little bit.
Billy gets the lead over there, held by Santana. He stole 5 in 7 attempts during the homestand, and he leads the big leagues in steals with 43. Now it's Cozart. Checks in at .319 with 11 home runs and 38 runs batted in. And the other part of that dynamic duo at the top of the Reds order. Look at Billy in the first inning now. 36th time he's reached base in the first inning this year. Scored 24 of those, and that's the best in the big leagues. Tomlin is not one that you're easily able to run on, is he?
Well, he's given up 1 stolen base this year. The Indians catchers have thrown 1 out. Career-wise for Tomlin, remember, he's got 55 wins in the big leagues. He's only given up 10 stolen bases. So he's very athletic, very quick. And normally, if you have a pitcher like that, you're going to more likely employ a hit and run rather than you are a straight steal. And you got a good combination right here with Zach Cozart. I mean, I'm not sure there's anybody on this Reds ball club that puts the bat on the ball with more consistency than does Zach.
Billy looked like he got hit by that throw over there just as Santana caught it. Left upper thigh area. Off speed pitch, and Cozart now with the 2 balls and a strike. Zach top 10 in the league and on base percentage at .406. He really has had a lot of success against the man on the mound here tonight, Tomlin. Career-wise, 7 hits, 14 at bats. Against Tomlin, the 6'1", 190-pounder out of Tyler, Texas. 3-1.
Well, Tomlin's go-to pitch is that big curveball, and that's the one he got Cozart swinging and missing on. It's also the one he just missed with the strike zone to run this count to 3-1. He never really wants to get into a situation where he has to throw that fastball because he doesn't have a lot to get by.
Three and 2. Cozart, of course, the all-star shortstop for the National League. And a little downtime in the month of June with that quad injury, and he's still nursing that a little bit. You see when he runs, particularly to first on what appears to be an easy ground ball out. There goes Billy. Looked like he slipped getting out of the first base area over there. He'll be back now at first. Let's take a look at that.
Well, you wouldn't think that the Indians would water that area down around first base because they've got a speedster of their own at the top of the lineup in Bradley Zimmer. Those that follow the Indians around will tell you that if he's slower than Billy Hamilton, it's only by a half a step. But seeing is believing.
Billy going again on the 3-2, and again Cozart will send it into the seats. This game, of course, is the makeup game from the rainout here back on the 25th of May. Jim Day talked about the big comeback by the Reds on the 24th, the first game of the two that was scheduled here, when it looked like the game was over and it appeared Billy Hamilton had hit into this 3-6-3 double play. Reds challenge, it was overturned, and then the man at the plate now, Cozart, got the single on the left, and Hamilton on the run was able to score from first on the hit. The Reds won that game 4-3, so they lead the series 2-1. If they can win tonight, the Ohio Cup back to the Queen City. Billy got a pretty good jump. They'll go to third and get an out. They'll go to first and get another out.
Boy, is that an acrobatic play by the second baseman, Jose Ramirez.
Billy got a great jump and was charging hard towards second base. And let's take a look at it.
A perfectly legal slide by Billy Hamilton, a pop-up slide that in the pop-up attempt, you know, you have a chance to disrupt the second baseman turning that double play, but somehow Ramirez got that throw off.
Cozart hit it hard. Third baseman Urshela made a nice play going to his left. Ramirez, who has made the transition at least temporarily with Kipnis on the disabled list from his position at third over to second, hung right in there.
This is a perfect attempt by Billy Hamilton. Very legal as long as you get your butt on the ground before you get to second base. It's going to be a legal slide. You're allowed to hit the base and pop up. I just am stunned that Ramirez was able to get that ball off and throw a strike to first base.
He lost his balance for a moment, kind of threw it over to first on half speed and got it in there for the double play. Now a ball ripped to right by Votto, but a nice running catch out there by Abraham Almonte. Two hard hit balls by the Reds in the first, but nothing to show for it. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer, and by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Take a look at the Indians lineup courtesy of Menards. Terry Francona's club will line up like this: Bradley Zimmer at the top, Francisco Lindor, an all-star, then another all-star, Michael Brantley, Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Ramirez, Carlos Santana in the middle. Bottom three include the recently recalled Giovanni Urshela, Abraham Almonte, and Roberto Perez against the right-hander Tim Adelman.
5 wins, 7 losses for Adelman. Earned run average right around the 5 mark, coming off a pretty good outing his last time out. Arizona Diamondbacks, 6 innings of 3-run baseball. Did not walk a batter in that game and struck out 7. I really feel that the effective fastball for Adelman is one up around the letters. That sets up his curveball very well.
He gets the left-handed Zimmer to lead it off. This one hit down the left field line and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes.
Zimmer is really the prize package for the Indians recently. He was called up May 15th after being down in Columbus. Really was tearing the International League up. Was hitting close to 300 at that time in 33 games. Earned on base percentage up around 370 or so. He was their #1 pick in 2014. But he's been on rough times really in the last month. I mean, he was batting up around the 308 mark just about a month ago, and he's slumped now down to around 260. So he's had a few offers along the way.
This Indians team has had to go through a couple of center fielders. They went out and acquired Austin Jackson in the offseason. He is on the disabled list with a quad injury. Lonnie Chisenhall, who we knew from years ago as a third baseman who had played some right, was also in center. He's currently on their disabled list with a calf injury. So they've turned it over to Bradley Zimmer here as of late. Hitting .261 overall with 5 home runs. There's Francisco Lindor waiting on deck. Towards center, Hamilton on the run. That ball is over his head. That ball way up off the wall, and Zimmer's going to get himself a double to start the bottom of the first. 10th of the year for Zimmer, and immediately the Indians threaten.
Well, Tim Adelman really ought to be happy that he used this part of the ballpark. It is the deepest part, the highest fence. And Zimmer really waylaid into that ball. Billy Hamilton will play the carom, but Zimmer has such good speed, he's just about standing on second base when that ball comes back into the infield.
All right, well, here is Francisco Lindor now. 2-time All-Star. He was an All-Star this year. They did not have an overly good first half of this season after a tremendous 2016. Want to bunt the runner along. That ball dies in the grass, and that's a bunt single for Lindor.
What a weapon. Lindor had 3 hits in yesterday's game when they beat the Toronto Blue Jays, and 2 of those were infield hits. Look at, he bunts first and then runs. I mean, you can't get a better example of exactly how to do it than what Lindor does right there. Perfect bunt, no defense against it, or no defense will cover that.
So Lindor had a good series, as Chris mentioned, against Toronto. Is on over at first base. Zimmer goes over to third. The batter will be Michael Brantley. Indians have to be just thrilled the way this guy has been able to bounce back this year after a terrible 2016 in terms of injuries. He was on the disabled list a couple of times, hoping he'd be able to get back to his pre-2016 injury status, and he really has. Comes in at .303 with 6 home runs.
You know, Adelman may pay a little attention over there to Lindor, but most American League teams are not running teams. And the Indians, although they've got a very unpredictable offense, they scored a lot of runs in that series against Toronto.
Lindor on the run. Line drive center. Hamilton will catch it. And now he'll fire back to Votto, and they get the double play. A run does score. And the Indians have taken a 1-0 lead, and the bases are empty now with 2 out.
And another outfield assist for Billy Hamilton. Man, oh man.
That'll be his 9th of the year. He leads the National League in that department. What a throw that was.
I mean, Lindor's fast. He realizes this golf ball is going to be caught, and he really turns on the Jets here. But a strong throw on the money by Billy Hamilton. Hey, the old shortstop just playing a little deep right there.
He got him in plenty of time over there at first base on a throw on the fly. Leads the National League, and as you can see, they're most in the big leagues.
Play like that will really pump you up if you're Billy Hamilton. You know, if you talk to Billy about his defense, he loves huge outfields. He'd rather play in Coors Field, the biggest outfield of all, than anywhere else. Uh-oh.
Encarnacion, he had a pair of home runs in a game against the Reds earlier this year in Cincinnati and just misses one there. He drove that thing high and deep to left, up off the big wall out there. Ends up being a two-base hit.
Well, they sure save on baseballs around here with that high wall, because both of the balls that were hit this inning by Zimmer and now Encarnacion absolutely crushed.
Kivlahan trying to go up the wall to catch that thing. Here now is the second baseman, Jose Ramirez.
But getting back to Hamilton, you know, he loves to play big outfields where you have a lot of room to run. This is one of those. And he also loves to throw guys out. I think he'd really rather make a great defensive play than make a great offensive play, except for running the bases.
Ramirez, one of 4 switch hitters in the Indians lineup. You made note of the fact that he's having a tremendous year in our open, and also the fact that it's not really a breakout year for him. He had a pretty good year last year as well. This guy was the starting third baseman for the American League, Jose Ramirez, and then when Jason Kipnis recently went down with an injury, a right hamstring strain, they moved him over to second base and brought Giovanni Urshela up from AAA. Votto will feed Adelman to get through the bottom of the first. The Indians get a run on a sac fly / double play and lead 1-0 after 1. Behind Tomlin, courtesy of Ford. Here's how they line up in the outfield: Brantley, Zimmer, and Almonte. Urshela, Lindor, Ramirez, and Santana. Third to first. Ramirez does the catching for Josh Tomlin tonight. Suarez, we featured him at the top of the broadcast, leads things off. Comes in at 262 with 16 home runs. This guy really had a nice homestand. 12 hits, a .324 average with 4 home runs. So go into foul territory, and down the line, Abraham Almonte stuck with it, makes the catch, and the leadoff man retired. Almonte's another one that really was not the everyday guy. When the season began, they had Chisenhall out there at one point. They've used 4 or 5 different right fielders, but right now, due to injury, he's the guy in right field. There's Scooter Gennett DHing tonight, getting Peraza in there from a defensive standpoint, but keeping the hot bat of Jeanette in the lineup as well. Jeanette picked up a couple of RBIs yesterday. He tied his career high with a home run ball in the 4th, and then set a new career high in RBIs with his 57th with his run producing single in the 5th inning. That was in yesterday's 6-3 win over Miami. Comes in with a 5-game hitting streak. A very good July going. Almonte, 2 out.
Yesterday, Scooter Gennett hit a home run with a broken bat, although it didn't break in half, with half of it going in, staying in the field of play. It's been a long time since I've seen that. Jim Day showed us yesterday, you know, the authentication process that happens after that. But I thought that was very interesting. A home run on a broken bat.
Doesn't happen every game.
It's kind of wood that I want.
Two out now for Devin Mesoraco. Devin in the thralls of a hitting slump, as it were. 1 for his last 18, hitting .227 overall. Everybody very pleased, though, that DL stint for him was no longer than it needed to be. Strained left shoulder. Did not play with the ball club in Arizona before the break. Now he's called out on an 0-2 pitch, and a quick and easy top of the 2nd for Josh Tomlin and the Indians. Set up for tonight's game, courtesy of Ford. Kiblahan getting his 2nd start in 3 days in the outfield. Tonight it's in left. Hamilton and Schebler across the outfield. Suarez, Cozart, Peraza, and Votto 3rd to 1st, with Adelman throwing to Devin Mesoraco. First baseman Carlos Santana leads things off. Santana on the year at .238 with 10 home runs. The 3rd of the 4 switch hitters that the Reds will see in the Indians lineup tonight. We've already seen Lindor and Ramirez. Santana now, and then a couple of batters later, Abraham Almonte. Bill Miller calling the balls and strikes. Home plate umpire tonight. His mates are Todd Tishner, Nick Lentz, Adam Hamari. Red shift this guy. 3 infielders on the right side. Peraza is way out in shallow right field. You see Cozart on the first base side of second. And that's a foul tip hung on to by Mesoraco. And Santana becomes the first strikeout victim of the night for Tim Adelman.
You know, Adelman doesn't light up the radar gun, but what he does do, he has a little hesitation in his delivery. And that fastball gets on hitters, I think, a click faster than they anticipated, and that's why he gets his strikeouts up there. I think the two-seam fastball that he buries down around the knees just doesn't have a lot of movement on it, and that high fastball should be his primary one. Good-looking curveball there.
So that location to Santana is where you really like his fastball.
Yeah, I think that's where his forte is. I think that's where he got a lot of his 7 strikeouts his last time out against the Diamondbacks.
On the run out there in right field is Schebler, and right on the line he makes the catch on that ball hit by Giovanni Urshela. Good hustle by Schebler out in right. First 2 retired here for the Indians in the bottom of the second.
You know, I don't think you appreciate how fast Scott Schebler is until you watch him play a lot. You know, he's not a burner down the line like Billy Hamilton or Peraza. He's not in that class, but he's just a tick behind that. And he came a long way to make that catch. Always runs hard. Every pop-up, every ground ball, every foul ball. Guy came here to work.
So Adelman now an out away from a 1-2-3 second. Abraham Almonte, their 4th switch hitter in the Indians lineup, starting in right field, hitting .240 with 3 home runs. Almonte himself had some time on the Indians disabled list earlier this year with a bicep strain. He was just activated on July the 5th, right before the break. One nothing Tribe. We're in the bottom of the second. Votto will charge and feed on to Adelman. He could have taken it himself. He elected to flip it to the pitcher. No harm done. Out, retired, and so are the Tribe in number 2.
Anthony DeSclafani started his rehab process yesterday. Pitched in an Arizona League rookie game, went 2 1/3 innings through 47 pitches. Brian Price said he came out A-OK. The next plan will be for him to hopefully get a couple of starts in the Midwest League. That will mean he will pitch for the Dayton Dragons at low A. They're slating for the 29th, although schedule's going to be dicey. A lot of the Reds affiliates are on the road over the next several weeks, so hoping it will be a Midwest League for a couple of starts and move him up the ladder. And if all goes well, we will see him sooner than later.
Well, that certainly is good news. I mean, obviously this Reds team has missed the services of Anthony DeSclafani. It's unfortunate things have gone the way they have for him, not only this year, but last year out of the gate as well. What you learn out of these things, these injuries, that boy, they can really take a long time to heal. Pitching out of the bullpen last year, by and large, Michael Lorenzen had that injury early in the spring. And now the same thing happens this year to DeSclafani. Foul third base side, long run, and they're not going to be able to get to that ball. That's Urshela. They're playing the big shift for Schebler. Schebler desperately trying to break an 0 for 16 drought. Look what he's done since the break. 2 for 28 and on base 6 times with either walks or been hit by a pitch. He's keeping his on base average a little bit higher.
You wonder, Jim, you're going to get a lot of up and downs among every major league player except the superstars, and it's even more, it's even more noticeable when you have a young player like Scott Schebler. But just because the guy's young and he seems like he's full of energy doesn't mean he doesn't get tired. I really believe that some of these guys are hitting the wall here early, maybe because the weather got warm early. They've been on some very tough road trips.
Schebler swings and misses here, and that's the second out of the inning.
And baseball player fatigue is as much mental fatigue as it is physical fatigue. It's not because you don't get enough sleep. It's not because you don't feel like you can run fast. It just sometimes it's the mental strain of getting after it every day, and you get into a slump and you try even harder. So you take more batting practice. You show up earlier. You lift more weights, in an attempt to try to get out of that slump. And all the time, all you're thinking about is trying to get out of that slump instead of relaxing and doing the things that you normally did when you were really hot.
Kivlehan batting here with 1 out. I said 2. The first out was the Schebler strikeout. Kivlehan now. Peraza on deck. Kivlehan waves at a breaking ball and does not get it. So that's 3 straight strikeouts now for Tomlin.
Well, he got one looking a changeup with Mesoraco to end the inning. That's a breaking ball after throwing a fastball by Scott Schebler for a strikeout. That breaking ball can be very effective against right-handers that haven't seen it very much, especially if he stays on top of it and drives it straight down.
We saw Kivlehan hit the ball hard a couple of times 2 days ago. The home run, he hit it home into the seats out in left, and then that line drive right at Justin Bour late in the game. But the guy just doesn't get enough starts really to get into any sort of a groove. Here now is Peraza with 2 men out. Not saying he should, based on the season overall that Schebler has had, and certainly Duvall is sitting out tonight. I like the effort put forth by Patrick Kivlehan. Peraza getting a start tonight at second base. The DH employed here, and the same thing will happen in terms of the DH being used the next 2 games in New York, tomorrow night and Wednesday afternoon. Reds this year have won 5, lost 9 interleague games. 3 coming up here on this trip, including tonight, and then 3 at home later on against Boston, and that will be it in terms of interleague baseball. Check, swing, appeal. He rung him up. That's a strikeout. Josh Tomlin fans the side and has struck out 4 in a row. So we head to the bottom of the 3rd. Market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. 1-0 Indians. They bat here in the bottom of the 3rd. Battle of the Buckeye State wrapping up here tonight, with the Reds leading the series 2-1. Indians, of course, the reigning American League pennant winners, losing in 7 games of the World Series to the Cubbies last year, right in this ballpark where those last couple of games were played. Terry Francona's ball club trying to win its 2nd consecutive division title for the first time since they reeled off 5 in a row back in the mid-90s. He was, of course, not here at that point in time. Mike Hargrove's ball clubs. Terry Francona, look at this now. This is the 2nd half. Post All-Star break record since 2013. Indians at .566, one of the tops in baseball, 2nd best in the American League behind Kansas City. 2013 was Terry's first year at the helm of this ball club. Brad Mills is bench coach there to his left. It's Mills who actually managed the All-Star team. Francona could not make it. Swing and a miss, and Perez a strikeout victim. It's 5 in a row now, set down by Adelman.
Yeah, it looks like after giving up a couple of hard hit balls there in the 1st inning, Tim's beginning to settle down a little bit. Well placed.
Here now is Bradley Zimmer, led off the game with a double. Later scored on that sac fly double play, and into by Michael Brantley on a very nice throw from Billy Hamilton out in center. Zimmer's a big guy, 6'5", 220, as Chris mentioned earlier, a former 1st-round pick out of the University of San Francisco. You hear about many guys that come out of there that played big league baseball.
Well, his brother, his older brother, Kyle Zimmer, was also a #1 pick, 2012. So a couple of years older than his little big brother, I should say. He also out of the University of San Francisco. They're originally from and were raised in the San Diego area in La Jolla.
His call up this year amounted to his big league debut. And on the edge of the grass at third is Suarez. And Zimmer swings and misses there. 2-2. Basically been a three-team race in the American League Center, with Cleveland leading KC by a game and a half. Minnesota 2.5 back. Indians after that sweep over the weekend of Toronto. Kansas City has won 5 in a row. Those two sit atop the division. Interesting that the Indians have played much better baseball away from home this year than they have here at Progressive Field. 6 over on the road. 500 club here. 3-2.
Yeah, that 2014 draft, at least the first round, where Zimmer was taken, he was taken 21st by the Indians. That was a couple of spots after the Reds decided to take Nick Howard. Brandon Finnegan also in that draft. Of course, he went to the Royals. Kyle Schwarber, Carlos Rodon, all in the big leagues from that draft.
Zimmer thought he had drawn ball 4. Instead, Bill Miller rings him up. 2 straight strikeouts here in this inning for Tim Adelman.
Oh, I can see why he has an argument right there. Zimmer's 6'5". But Adelman will take that all day long, even though our Fox track says it's a strike. I guess we got to go with that.
Well, Adelman looking for a back-to-back 1-2-3 frames. He'll deal now with Francisco Lindor, who laid down that beautiful bunt single back in the first.
You know, if I'm a pitcher in the dugout, you know, maybe Josh Tomlin, or if I'm out on the mound right now and Adelman gets that call downstairs, I mean, I'm thinking downstairs the rest of the night right here, especially with that breaking ball. You know, umpires don't give the corners like they used to. There were some umpires that were just known to be guys who would give the outside corner. You know, the old talk about how Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine would get, you know, 3 to 6 inches extra plate on the outside corner as the game went along. Umpires don't do that as much anymore because they're being checked after every game. You know, by that Fox tracks. But the one variable, and the Fox tracks doesn't always show it, is the height of a player's knees and the height of the top of the strike zone, and a lot of that is based on where he stands and how he stands when he attempts to swing. So in and out is always now pretty much the same, but up and down can be somewhat variable.
I guess the fact that for a long stretch players wore their pant legs way down. You know, you'd say, well, you ask a player about it, he'd say, I'm wearing them up because I want to have a better look for the umpire at my strike zone.
Run scores, and Billy Hamilton running from first scores all the way from first base. It was a 2-run hit. The Reds rallied in the ninth. At one point they had thought Billy Hamilton had ended the game. The Reds overturned the call as Billy steps in there, and then that dramatic play happened. And the next day when he got to Progressive Field before that rainout, this is what was at his locker in the tweet from the Indians. Billy Hamilton is very difficult to slow down, so we're doing our part. Reds, please make sure he gets our gift. And it's a bag of quicksand. Funny stuff from the Indians. They rained out that night. Hopefully the Indians will need the quicksand tonight.
Maybe they sprinkled that quicksand, Jim, down by first base back in the first inning when Billy tried to take off.
Well, that's great stuff, isn't it? Good sense of humor on the part of the Indians. And of course, I don't think any manager in baseball has a better sense of humor than Terry Francona. What a great guy to get along with.
Billy, a strikeout victim. That is now 5 consecutive strikeouts for Josh Tomlin. Tomlin came into this game with 75 strikeouts in 103 innings worth of work. His season high in terms of Ks is 7. Here he has 5 in this game, and all 5 of them have come in a row.
I'll tell you one thing, he's got that curveball working. He doesn't throw it very hard, but he puts a lot of spin on it.
A lot of talk before the game about how it felt like a fall football evening here at the ballpark. A welcome relief than what we had in Cincinnati recently.
Good night, Irene.
That is 6 of them now. 6 in a row by Tomlin in terms of strikeouts. He's retired 10 in a row now since he gave up the base hit to Hamilton the start of the game.
On the big scoreboard here, the video board before the game, they played a lot. They played hours, it seems, of historical Indian video highlights. And they showed Burton Blyleven throwing his old curveball. Of course, Blyleven's in the Hall of Fame, and he was known for that curveball of his. And they showed one after another after another. I'll tell you, it didn't look a whole lot different than what Tomlin's throwing up there tonight.
He was able to get Votto his first time on a hard hit ball to right field. 10 in a row retired by Tomlin.
I'm wondering if Votto may be trying to do something a little different, trying to get out of his little mini slump. He pulled the ball hard to right field, something we rarely see him do. I mean, maybe he's thinking, if these teams are going to pitch me in, I'm going to get that bat head out.
Hard to believe that this guy's average now has dipped back below 300. He starts the game at 297. He's 0 for his last 16. And we'll get a look at a 3-1 pitch. Here his numbers since the All-Star break. Those 9 walks have kept that on-base percentage up over 300. He draws a walk here to make that 10 walks since the break. That ends the streak of 10 in a row by Tomlin. Second Reds base runner, Hamilton in the first, and now Votto here in the fourth. Here's Suarez. Nice running catch out and right by Abraham Almonte. His first time to retire Suarez. Suarez had a terrible month of June. He hit just 190 in the month. And everybody thought, well, here we go again. The same kind of thing that happened with him last year. But he's battled back very nicely in July. Up over 280 on the month. Rips this ball to left field, and unfortunately right in the tracks of Michael Brantley. Outdoor luxury suite at Great American Ballpark gives fans a spectacular view of the field. Enjoy an upscale buffet and full beverage service, comfortable seating, and much more. Book your next group outing in the Front Gate Outdoor Luxury Suite. Visit reds.com/groups for more information. Tim Adelman back to work. Bottom of inning number 4. Tribe up 1-0. Michael Brantley, who caught that line drive off the bat of Suarez to end the top of the 4th, leads things off here in the bottom half. Breaking ball that hung, and he hits it in the air to center, and Billy Hamilton will make the catch.
Just a scorekeeping note on that line drive sacrifice out that Michael Brantley hit in the 1st inning. He does get credited with an RBI on that, even though it was eventually turned into a double play by Billy Hamilton. The only time you don't get an RBI on a double play, of course, is when you ground into a double play, an infield double play. And I went right to the source.
Which is your
Ron Roth. I didn't go to my website. No,
okay.
It is on there, but I'd rather go to Ron Roth and get it from the old coach emeritus, now turned excellent scorer.
Yeah, Ron is the official scorer for most Reds home games and does an excellent job.
Most of the time.
Unless we disagree. You know what, though? The great thing about Ron is he'll come up to you later that night or the next day and say, hey, what do you think of that? Get your opinion. Say, well, I went back and looked at it. I thought this, I thought that. He's very open-minded, though, to discuss calls.
You know, when he comes up to me and he asks me, what do you think of that? I always think that he's referring to his chocolate sundae that he's holding in his hand. I didn't realize he was talking about the play the night before.
That's why there's always confusion between you two. So that time when you said you should add nuts, he thought you were saying he was nuts. Perfectly understandable confusion right there. Encarnacion with 1 man out, doubled his first time. This guy, of course, in the first year of that multi-year deal that he signed with the Indians in the offseason. He was a late signee, the longtime Toronto Blue Jay. He came up with the Texas organization. Made his big league debut with the Reds back in '05. Signed a 3-year deal that'll take him through 2019. And in his first year here, 20 home runs. Boy, that's a mile up in the air into shallow left. Kivlahan in and Cozart out, and Cozart will handle it for the 2nd out. Tim Adelman, he's done a very nice job now, having set down 9 in a row.
You know, sometimes the 1st inning is the most difficult inning of all. That was that way for Adelman. He gave up a couple of real hard hit balls, but since that time, he's beginning to find the corners. Cut fastball working, curveball working very well, and running the 4-seamer upstairs.
He gets Ramirez now with 2 men out. Just when you thought maybe Tim Adelman's time was up, he had had 5 consecutive starts that had gone either 5 innings or less than 5 innings. He bounced back with that very good start against Arizona. And on top of his game here tonight, and he gets a ground ball there off the bat of Ramirez, and that's a 3rd 1-2-3 inning in a row by Adelman. by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together, and by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. Downtown Cleveland, Ohio. This ballpark, Progressive Field, right next to the Q, Quicken Loans Arena. Basketball activity there every spring of the championship variety. Here next door, good crowd on hand on this Monday night. Reds and the Indians to see who will take home the Ohio Cup 2017. Jeanette leads it off. Scooter fly to right his first time. Middle of last week that Brian Price announced that Scooter would become the everyday second baseman, usurping Peraza at that position. Simply couldn't get over his good offense. Ripped into right center field, and this game is tied. That's the offense we're talking about. Scooter Gennett, his 18th of the year, and the Reds and the Tribe are even at 1.
You know, Scooter Gennett is the talk of the press box. Anytime announcers get together, you see scouts in the media dining room and so on, and everybody really wants to know the same thing about Scooter Gennett. Where is this production coming from? I mean, there was nobody in baseball, maybe Gennett expected it, but really nobody who expected Scooter Gennett to have this type of a season here in 2017. Boy, the Reds ever happy he's doing it with the Reds uniform on.
Look at his home runs per at bats now before this year and this year. Are you talking about incredible right there? One every 14.2 this year puts him, I would guess, in the top 10 in the league. We'll check that to be sure. Just out of the top 10 in the overall in the big leagues, and he would be number 7 in the National League if he had enough at bats. As Rocco on a 3-1 pitch will pop this one up. Lindor will handle it.
Now, doesn't that stat that you just mentioned seem kind of funny? If he had enough at bats. Now, I can see if you're going for a batting average crown or an on-base percentage crown or slugging, something that, you know, it has to do with percentages. But when you're talking about raw numbers of the number of home runs that you have, why do you need enough at bats? All you just need is home runs, right?
Well, I guess if you had 15 at bats and you had 3 home runs, it doesn't compare to a guy who has 300 at bats. So I see the discrepancy there.
I'm just talking about raw numbers of home runs. I think would be worthwhile talking about. You know, of course, the home runs per at bat or the at bats per home run.
I mean, the leader in the National League is Cody Bellinger, a home run every 10.7 at bats. The Reds' Joey Votto was third, a home run every 13.3 at bats. And keep in mind, this is at bat, not plate appearance. As Votto wouldn't even be in that list if he went by plate appearances, due to the number of walks that he gets. Chasing this ball, Urshela will make the play. Just a reminder that as you enjoy tonight's game, we look forward to bringing you a little bit later on our Miller Time moment of the night, brought to you by Miller Lite. Josh Tomlin pumping strikes in there. That pitch total for him only at 52. Broken bat to third on a first pitch swing, and Urshela throws out Kivlahan. But the Scooter Gennett home run, his 18th of the year, is not at this game at 1 in the 5th. 1-1 here in the bottom of the 5th, Progressive Field in Cleveland. Scooter can talk about it, revel in it with his teammates in the dugout, because he is DHing in tonight's game here against the Tribe. Tim Adelman has gotten his club even, and now Carlos Santana leads it off for the Indians. He struck out his first time. Santana 10 home runs on the year. Switch hitter, 5 batting right, 5 batting left. Urshela on deck, and then Abraham Almonte. Years ago, this guy started out as a catcher, Carlos Santana. Hasn't caught really for a couple of years now. DH, plays first base, draws a walk here on 5 pitches, and he's on to start the bottom of the 5th. Well, tomorrow on the newest edition of Reds Weekly, the aforementioned Scooter Gennett talks about taking over the starter's role at second base. A couple of Reds give back to the town where they got their baseball start, and Joey Votto fulfills his donkey promise to all-star shortstop Zach Cozart. All that and more on an all-new Reds Weekly, Wednesday at 6 on Fox Sports Ohio, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. First walk given up by Adelman puts Santana on the bases. This Cleveland club not stealing bases this year at the rate they did a year ago. They led the American League last year in stolen bases. This year they've stolen 50 as a team, which is in the bottom 3rd. Rajai Davis, who was with them last year, had 43. Ramirez had 22. Lindor had 19. Kipnis had 15. They had 4 players in double figures in stolen bases last year. Hamilton handles this. Urshela is 0 for 2, and that's the first out in the bottom of the 5th. I guess the most amazing part of that 43 stolen bases by Rajai Davis last year, that he did it at 35 years old. Moved on to Oakland this year. Of course, he hit that big home run against Chapman in Game 7 late in the World Series. Here's Abraham Almonte. Other than actually having to play on an off day, at least what was scheduled to be an off day for the Indians, this works out pretty well for them, and that they were home against Toronto, and they stay home after this game and have the Angels in town. Red says to you that off day in June after they had left Washington, scheduled to come home after that game initially and have the off day on Monday and then start a homestand, but they had to use that off day to play the makeup game in St. Louis. And now an off day, what was scheduled today before what was going to be a 9-game road trip, turns out to be a 10-game trip, adding this game to it before you go to New York and Miami and Pittsburgh. Reds aren't home again until the 4th of August. I saw some activity on Twitter yesterday after the game. Reds finished up the homestand, go out now and aren't back until after the trading deadline, wondering if maybe they saw Zach Cozart play their last game at Great American Ballpark in a Reds uniform. Well, Zach is a free agent after the year. His name's been thrown out there for the entirety of this season as being a trading chip.
Well, this comes down to this last week before the trading deadline, almost a frantic feel amongst all the scouts you talk to. They're running all over the place. Ran into a couple of scouts this morning in the team hotel that were in over the weekend to follow the Toronto Blue Jays, and they're headed out of town to follow someone else. So there are some teams that no one thought that would be in it right now. You mentioned the Indians, and right behind them are the Kansas City Royals. Well, this was supposed to be a year for the Royals. If you remember that by the time the trading deadline was around, there were going to be 5 or 6 players on that team that were going to be free agents that they were just going to go ahead and jettison away. But that's not the case now. They're actually looking for more pitching to see if they can make a run.
Kansas City starts the day 3 over, but only a game and a half behind this Indians team. Roberto Perez bats now with 2 on and 1 out.
Now, fortunately for Adelman, even though he's walked a couple in this inning, this bottom of the order has been really, he's had them in the palm of his hand. Struck out Perez on a nice cut fastball down and away his first time up.
Adelman at 70 pitches as he works here in the 5th. No breeze at all here at the ballpark to speak of. Got in on him there on a fastball, and now it's a ball and 2 strikes. Adelman has made one other career start against the Tribe. That was last year in Cincinnati. Also matched up against Tomlin in that game. It was a 7-2 Indians win. Tomlin threw well in that one, allowed just 2 runs in 7 2/3. Allowed just 1 run in 5 innings here tonight. Zimmer on deck.
Decision pitch right here on a 2-2 count. You do not want to get into a situation where you've got bases or a 3-2 count with a couple of runners on.
Perez stays alive.
Perez is a guy that you really have to come after. I mean, he's got a lifetime .212 hitter. He's had 2 seasons in the major leagues in which he has batted under 200. So when you're straddling that Mendoza line, that is a blinking light that says, come right after me and make sure that I make a decision with the bat. Of course, Adelman would like to get a ground ball right here. He has only rolled up 7 ground ball double plays on the year, has Adelman. Not really a ground ball pitcher at all.
Well, now a full count. Couple of walks in this inning by Adelman has put him on the hot seat here. Perez making him work, fouls that 3-2 pitch back.
Well, the Indians, if they've had problems with anything, it has been an interleague play. They have won 4 and lost 13 against National League teams. They're usually much better than that. The Reds are 5-9 interleague play. Of course, they're going to New York to play the Yankees the next couple of days. And with the sweep of the Toronto Blue Jays over the weekend, the Indians finally got to the 500 mark here at home. And the crowds began to come out. They had sellouts, I think, Friday and Saturday. I think pretty close to 100,000 or so or beyond through that 3-game set over the weekend against the Jays.
In their pennant-winning year a year ago, they were very, very good here at home. Hamilton on the run into right center, not going to get it, up and off the wall. Santana scores. Almonte had an idea about coming home, but Hamilton got that ball back in a hurry, forcing Almonte to stop and get back to third. But that's a run-producing double for Roberto Perez, and the Indians go back in front 2-1.
Well, anybody with a bat is dangerous, especially if you hit into the hot zone. He just threw so many pitches, fastballs or cutters, whatever that particular pitch is, right down the middle. But down around the knees, Perez finally timed one.
Boy, you got to credit Hamilton, though. He got that thing back in a hurry because Almonte had been given the go sign by Mike Sarbaugh, the third base coach. And then changed his mind quickly upon seeing the throw of Hamilton. Held that runner at third base, Almonte. So instead of being 3-1, it's 2-1. It'll take something else for the Tribe to add to their lead. Mac Jenkins brings the troops together out on the mound. Here comes Bill Miller right behind them. Here's Bradley Zimmer. A couple of walks have hurt Adelman and the Reds here in this bottom of the 5th. They play their infield in now, second and third with 1 out. Zimmer has doubled, took a called third strike. And wouldn't Adelman love another one of those right here?
Good spot there. That's where he threw the fastball by Zimmer for a strikeout in the third.
Line to left. Kivlahan will make the catch, and Almonte will tag and score. Zimmer makes contact, drives the ball the other way, gets himself a run batted in, his 28th. Second out of the inning, but it's now 3-1 in favor of Cleveland. Now is Lindor.
Well, Lindor had a very dramatic home run on Saturday's game when they beat the Toronto Blue Jays in the 10th inning. They beat them 2-1. Lindor started the inning by defensively bobbling a routine ground ball, and eventually a couple of relievers, Cody Allen and Brian Shaw, worked out of a 2-on nobody out jam, and Lindor won it all with a walk-off home run on the 7th pitch that he saw in the at-bat that sent all the Indians fans home happy on Saturday.
He got out to a very good start this year, then went into a prolonged slump. He hit just .214 in June, but has bounced back nicely in July. Got to a good start since the break.
Well, he made the All-Star team last year, won a Gold Glove last year. In 2015, came second in the Rookie of the Year voting. Of course, he was one of the stars of the Puerto Rican WBC team this year, and the #1 pick by the Indians in 2011.
Adelman trying to get him here and put an end to the bottom of the 5th.
Here's the Saturday home run walk-off that we were talking about. On the 7th pitch of the at-bat, after bobbling a ball on the top of the inning, he said that he was just standing out there on defense hoping that they weren't going to lose the game because of his error. And as it turned out, they won the game because of his heroics.
You could see that big sellout crowd here on Saturday night that you were talking about. They drew very well. Went on to win again then yesterday.
You know, interesting, really, the Indians and the Reds are just about deadlocked as far as average attendance this year.
Off speed there and fouled back by Lindor. Pretty good crowd here on this Monday night, which is, as we mentioned a couple of times, a makeup date due to that May 25th rainout. Pitch count by Adelman in this inning clearly has gone way above what he has done so far tonight. One of those situations, though, and there's a lot of people pushing, it seems, for the National League to go to the DH as well. I've heard more talk about that since the All-Star break than I heard in a long time. Foul ball out of play.
If you notice the pitches that the Indians are hitting hard off of Adelman tonight, they're the ones that are down low. That fastball that continually either gets swung through or fouled straight back is one that, if he keeps it at that right spot, that is a very difficult pitch to hit for most batters. Some guys you don't want to pitch upstairs to, but Lindor hitting left-handed is one of those you do.
Got him in the air here, and this should end the inning. 3 Reds converge, and it's Kivlahan who calls everybody off, makes the catch to retire the side.
Pitchers injury woes. Clayton Kershaw could miss 4 to 6 weeks with a back injury, according to Ken Rosenthal. And we had talked recently about how Steven Strasburg had made every start, avoided the disabled list, but he left yesterday's start after 2 innings as a precaution with forearm stiffness. So either of those guys are out for extended periods of time. Big losses for teams in contention.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, you're talking about some pretty big names right there, and I would have guessed the Dodgers, we've read about it, the Dodgers are looking for the possibility of acquiring a pitcher. Nationals acquired 2 relievers when they were in Cincinnati and may not be finished. Back to work here in the 6th inning goes Josh Tomlin. He gets Peraza to lead things off. A pop-up should be and is the first out here in the top of the 6th. Well, you can cheer on your Reds when they take on the St. Louis Cardinals. You can do so for as low as $12. The first 20,000 fans through the gates will receive a Rysel Iglesias bobblehead thanks to Penn Station. For tickets, you can visit Reds.com. So last week we had the Billy Hamilton bobblehead. Upcoming once the Reds return home, the Rysel Iglesias bobblehead. Here's Billy Hamilton. Billy up there for the third time. Infield single in the first means he's now hit in 3 in a row, but 9 of his last 10. Hammers this ball into right center, but it's going to be run down by Abraham Almonte. Take a look at Jim Day down there now. Jim is, it's our guy doing his Billy Hamilton imitation for the Cleveland broadcast. Andre Knott down there with him. Sideline guy, a couple of sideline guys going at it down there. There's Billy. You know, Jim Day is a terrific imitator.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he really is. He's just an incredibly funny guy. But he takes to those impersonations so quickly and so well. He does it right to Billy. I mean, they've done it back and forth to each other many, many times.
High and deep. Did he get enough of it? He did. That's a home run for Zach Cozart. 12th of the year. It's a 1-run game.
Guy is amazing. I mean, we talk about Scooter Gennett having an amazing year. I mean, where would this team be right now, really, without Zach Cozart? And he's been injured. You know, so one part of his game, which is running at full speed, hasn't been with him for a couple of months now. But he just continues to wheel that lumber.
Cozart had a couple of home runs during the homestand. He catches that hanging breaking ball there and deposited it out near the basketball arena.
You know, you had to figure Cozart was going up there looking for the curveball, because his last time up he saw 3 pitches. All of them were curves, and he struck out and didn't look good doing it. And he probably said, you know what, I'm going up there looking for the hook, and if he hangs me one, say bye-bye.
12th of the year for Cozart. Means it's a 3-2 game now. Reds down by 1. Zach had a couple of home runs we mentioned during the homestand. He gets one here. He continues his hot hitting ways since the break. Mickey Callaway had been out there on the mound, the pitching coach of the Indians. Votto now with 2 out. There's a base hit in the right for Joey Votto, and that for Votto snaps an 0 for 16 drought. His career worst is 0 for 19. He ends it here with a base hit in the right.
I really think that Votto is adjusting. You know, we saw so many teams. The Diamondbacks certainly did it. The Nationals did it when they came into town. The Marlins were doing it, which is pitching Votto right inside. I mean, when they missed, they came in on his elbows. And in this ball game, we've seen him do 2 things he hasn't done very much, which is pull the ball. Hit a line drive the first time up to right field, and that time tries to unjam him into right field too. So, you know, it's always a matter of adjustment.
First pitch swinging Suarez, deep but playable in right for Almonte to retire the side. But Cozart's 12th home run of the year has made this a 1-run game. 2 5.5, 3-2 Tribe. For as low as $25, you get a Reds ticket and a limited edition Game of Thrones Drogon bobblehead. Purchase the Game of Thrones ticket package at reds.com/themes. This reminder, the Drogon bobblehead is only available with the purchase of the Game of Thrones ticket package. Brantley leads it off. Michael Brantley here in the bottom of the 6th. Mozart's home run in the top of the 6th inning kind of, Chris, interrupted our discussion about the very talented imitation skills of one Jim Day. He was down there for the folks on the Cleveland television side doing his Billy Hamilton imitation. We could tell it's going over well. Folks were all laughing, getting a kick out of it. He also does a very good Jerry Narron, the former Reds manager. That may be one of his best.
Certainly most famous for that. The baseball guy.
He does a pretty good Tom Brenneman. I don't know if you knew that.
I thought that was Tom Brenneman sitting next to me. Was that really Jim Day?
That was
yesterday?
Jim. Yeah. He does a very good Tom Brenneman.
He is good.
Former Red Edwin N. Concepcion is at the plate.
There you go. He's a baseball guy, isn't he?
Edwin.
You know who he also does is very good at, if you like the movie Sling Blade, one of his best is Carl, the main character in Sling Blade. It's Billy Bob Thornton, is it not, Jim?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
I entertain myself, really. That's all that matters.
Reds will get an out at second and an easy out at first as Encarnacion bounces into the 5-4-3 double play. Now the funny part about that whole Sling Blade thing is I wasn't familiar with the movie, and I know that shouldn't surprise you. I thought that Jim Day had simply made up this whole character of Carl, and it was his own kind of part of his stand-up routine that he does, until he told me about the movie.
You seem to get him some maybe daytime gigs while the Reds are on the road traveling. He could do some of these comedy shows, you know, in each of the cities where the Reds travel to. Do a little stand-up around noontime.
Make a little extra money during the off season doing that, I guarantee you.
Of course, you have to get up a little earlier than he normally does in order to make the show time, but might be worth it. They want to send out a hearty congratulations tonight to a young player down for the Dayton Dragons having a tremendous year, Jose Siri. We saw him in spring training. He's batting about, I think, 291 or 292. He extended his hitting streak tonight to 30 games. Young man, 22 years old, just turned 22 a couple of days ago. Right-handed hitting outfielder. Maybe we'll see him in a year or two.
How about that? 30 games. I don't care what level you're playing.
16 home runs, 50 runs driven in this year. Having a great year.
This ball going to be handled by Schabler. And Tim Adelman faces 3 thanks to the double play in the bottom of the 6th. 7. How about Scooter Gennett? This home run ball in the 5th inning is 18th of the year, tied the game at 1. Indians came back in the bottom of the frame with a couple. This RBI double by Roberto Perez, and a elongated at bat. Darn near left the ballpark, drove in a run. Indians get another one on a sac fly to take a 3-1 lead, and then this hanging breaking ball from Tomlin deposited into the seats out in left field by Cozart. Number 12 for Zach. Makes it a 1-run game now at 3-2 in favor of Cleveland. That's tonight's Honda game summary as we enter inning number 7. The pitcher on for the Tribe, Andrew Miller, takes over.
Well, I guess they got what they wanted out of Josh Tomlin. 6 innings of 2-run baseball. He continues to pitch very well, and now the secret weapon in the arsenal of that bullpen. It's a good one here in Cleveland that Terry Francona has at his disposal. Big, tall left-hander with a slider that will give left-handed hitters nightmares.
Andrew Miller is the guy that Chris, of course, is talking about. He has a 1.69 ERA this year with a whip of 0.73. Are you kidding me? That is way under 1. If you got a 1, you're like really, really good.
Well, maybe explain what whip is. Oh, you do it.
You're the analyst. I'll allow you.
Walks plus hits. You take all the walks you give up plus all the hits you give up. You add them together and you divide it by the innings pitched. And that gives you a factor. And that factor, if it's at 1, it means you give up 1 base runner basically per inning on your own. If it's under 1, you're doing an exceptional job. And if it's, over 1, it depends on how much over 1 it is to kind of predictive of your earned run average.
So your .73, which is what Miller has, is very, very good.
Well,
that's a pop-up that's caught by the third baseman Urshela. Time now for a game break. Let's go back to the studio and Brian Giesenslaw. Only a couple of hits for Giancarlo Stanton in the series against the Reds. No home runs. Amazing, really, in Great American Ballpark. Little flare into right. That's the base hit for Devin Mesoraco, and the Reds have the tying run on here in the top of the 7th inning.
Takes a big swing, gets jammed a little bit, but muscles it into right field. It's got to be awfully hard for Devin Mesoraco to develop any kind of timing. I mean, with the injuries that he's had, on again, off again, trying to rest your shoulder. How do you take batting practice when your shoulder hurts? Just kind of one ongoing rehab for Devin.
Schebler shoots it out to left, but Brantley tracks it down. Continuing to see a lot of early swinging by the Reds tonight in at bats.
Where Schebler has better at bat against Andrew Miller than he does in 2 at bats against the right-handed starter Josh Tomlin. Go figure, because Miller is a neutralizer of left-handed hitters.
How much of a neutralizer when you look at the numbers? Lefty's hitting just 178 against Andrew Miller.
It's like a good hitting pitcher. You talk about that whip being what, it's at .73 for Andrew Miller.
Right.
Among relievers in baseball, that is 5th best.
Wow.
If you can imagine. So there are guys that are even better than Miller at that. Craig Kimbrell leads it all with .5. Chad Green of the Yankees. Reds will probably see him. Kenley Jansen. Felipe Rivero. If you wonder where the top Red is, he is at number 19. Raisel Iglesias under 1 at .93.
Talking about guys there, talking about Kenley Jansen and Craig Kimbrell that just seem unhittable.
Yeah, these are all relievers.
Right.
Scherzer is the top of the leaderboard as far as starters at about .8.
Guy whose name has been bounced around a little bit. I mean, the guy's having a tremendous year. They need to add to that grouping there in Washington. particularly with Strasburg leaving the game yesterday for the Nationals with an injury. Just missed this. Did Kivlahan. Got it into left field, and Brantley will make the catch to end the inning. That could have put the Reds in front. Instead, they leave a runner. Stretch time in Cleveland.
Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, join the boys and girls clubs of Greater Cincinnati for the 3rd annual Sand Volleyball Classic coming up on August the 12th. Co-ed teams of 8 are welcome to come out and compete for a great cause. Register today. Go to bgcgc.org. That's the 3rd annual Sand Volleyball Classic, August the 12th. Tim Adelman's longest outing of the year was a 7-inning affair at home against the Cardinals back on the 6th of June. Going back out there for inning number 7 here tonight, trailing by a run at 3-2. Good start his last time out in a Reds win against Arizona in 11 innings. Now a ball tattooed out into right center field, and that ball gone. Home run, a line drive shot by Santana, his 11th of the year. And the Indians have a double-digit lead again. It's 4-2.
Boy, Santana kind of reaches for that ball. Looks like Adelman took a little bit off it, maybe tried to feather a little changeup away, but got it up a little bit. That's good plate coverage and plenty of muscle.
The Reds have hit a pair of home runs tonight, both solo, and now Carlos Santana gets one for the Tribe. 4-2 lead here in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, Indians fans expect more than what they've been getting out of Santana, especially from the home run department. He came into this ball game with 10. Last year he hit 34. So you get you kind of spoiled when you hit a high water mark, which is way above your career average. And then you taper off a little bit the next year.
That's a 4-pitch walk issued now to Urshela. 3rd walk given up by Adelman. Reds have had action in the pen. In fact, that's going to be the last pitch thrown here tonight. by the right-hander as Brian Price emerges from the dugout. The Reds will make a pitching change here in the bottom of the 7th. Adelman goes back out there. Cannot get an out in the 7th. This is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Adelman leaves. New pitcher on.
Yes, what are some of your favorite rock and roll bands?
I'm a music guy, so I could give you all kinds of answers to this, but I'm on Pearl Jam of late. Pearl Jam is outstanding.
The Who.
Probably Metallica.
Boston. I used Long Cool Woman as in a black dress as my walkout song last year by the Hollies, so I dig that. I'm a big Billy Joel fan.
Good stuff, although none of them mentioned Jim Couch's favorite, Jethro Tull.
You know, I was wondering why somebody wouldn't bring it up. Well, I'll tell you why. None of those guys are quite old enough. I was looking today at the Jethro Tull website to see if they were going to be in concert somewhere I could go see them.
Well, Lorenzen said The Who, so they predate Jethro Tull.
Talk to him about that musical interest.
Well, I'm sure there's people at home right now singing one of those Who songs, like Who Are You? And we'll tell you right now, it is Blake Wood taking the mound for the Reds.
BW, Blake Wood on the mound. I got to believe that all the years you've been coming to Cleveland, you've visited and enjoyed the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I have several times, and it's an amazing place. If you get to Cleveland, it's a do not miss afternoon or morning. I mean, you could spend 2 days in there if you really want to get into it. And the special exhibitions, I don't know what's in there right now. We didn't have really time this morning to get in there, but it's a phenomenal place.
Jeff Pecora and I went through the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a couple of years ago when the team was up here. Jeff was traveling, and we saw in the video room a special performance by U2 that was mind-blowing.
Yeah. On video.
On video, correct. But you wore the 3D glasses. It seemed like you were right there. Blake Wood last appeared against Miami on the 21st. And a 1-2-3 inning in that game. ERA for Wood of 4.17. Second year wearing the Reds uniform, trying to keep it a 2-run game at 4-2. Solid contact there and a base hit. Moving up to second base for the Indians is Urshela. Almonte greets Wood with a hit, and it's 2 on. Still nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th. Runner at second base, Urshela. The responsibility of their starter Adelman, who goes 6 innings plus. 4 runs his responsibility now. 1 more could be tacked on. He walked 3, struck out 4. Will not get his 6th win of the year here tonight. Roberto Perez struck out, doubled in a run. That was back in the 5th. You can hear in the background the famous drum here in Cleveland that, of course, didn't start in this ballpark. Started in the old Cleveland Stadium, Municipal Stadium. That thing located, there it is, way up there below the scoreboard, not in left center. Echoes around this ballpark. You talk about echoing, though. It used to echo around the old stadium because there weren't a lot of people there at the end.
Well, John Adams is the name of that drummer, and he has been there since 1973, beating that drum in nearly every home game the Indians have played since that time.
Boy, he didn't look that old when they showed his picture up there. Say anything about the stretch of games? How many? A number?
No, I don't know how many stretch of games, but he doesn't miss very many.
That'd be 40-some years that he's been out there banging that thing.
4 decades, you better believe it.
He must have started when he was a teenager. That's ball 4 to Perez. So Blake Wood, brought on to quell this rally by the Tribe, has come on and given up a hit and a walk in the first 2 batters he has faced. And loads the bases for Cleveland.
Now, right now, the drum beat working for the Indians and not for Blake Wood. Just as a quick note to that John Adams story is that the Indians provide him season tickets, 1 for him, 1 for his drum, and a special spot where it says #1 Tribe fan John Adams, and that's where he sits every day.
There's the sign right behind him. That's going to be a foul ball. I wonder if the people that sit up there near him get those seats specifically because they like to sit up near John Adams and the drum.
What drum? Huh? What drum?
These
I
guys,
can't hear
right,
you.
those people around him right there, they don't even seem to be affected by it. To the right side, and Peraza diving, cannot come up with it. Run will score. Votto cuts off the throw in from right, and Schebler. Indians have scored twice in this inning. Now lead at 5-2.
Well, they scored twice in the inning. The bases loaded and still nobody out. And boy, just a game of inches. This ball, if it goes right at the second baseman, you pick up a double play. Instead, it goes just beyond his reach for a base hit and an RBI.
Blake Wood has faced 3 batters and all have reached here in the bottom of the 7th. That's Francisco Lindor. He had that big home run Chris was talking about earlier on Saturday to win in the 10th inning against the Jays. He's up there now with the bases loaded, nobody out. Reds down 5-2. Gets ahead here. No balls, 2 strikes. On 3 pitches, Lindor strikes out. That's a pretty good job right there by Wood.
Well, it is, and he needed it right there just to give the Reds a chance to get out of this inning without any further damage. And with the Indians bullpen as good as it is, you just can't.
Third away home now, Blake Wood. He deals with Michael Brantley. Brantley in this game has a hit and a run batted in. It was his sac fly / double play back in the first inning that got the scoring started.
I'll tell you one thing, Blake Wood's got that split finger working now. That's what he got Lindor to swing and miss on back-to-back swings, and then eventually the strikeout. It's the same pitch now he's used twice against Brantley. You see him put that ball in the split finger grip every time before he goes into his stretch position. Rocco wants it again.
He got it. He swung and missed.
That's strikeout.
And that's back-to-back strikeouts now by Wood after allowing the first 3 to reach in the inning. He has struck out the next 2 that he has faced. Here's Edwin Encarnacion. They cheat up the middle on him defensively. That's where Encarnacion hits the ball. So Blake Wood worked himself into then out of trouble in the bottom of the 7th. For Reds Live, the post-game edition, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Recap of the game, interviews from the field. The Reds can come back with a win, or from the clubhouse afterwards. That's Reds Live post-game, presented by Performance Kings Honda. And make sure you're there when the Ohio Lottery post-game concert series continues with, yes, Flo Rida, Friday, August the 4th, at Great American Ballpark. See Flo Rida perform chart-topping hits, including My House, Low, Cake, and much more. Don't miss Flo Rida live at the ballpark. For tickets, visit reds.com/concerts. Andrew Miller back to work, 8th inning. Gave up a hit to Mesoraco in the 7th. Other than that, he retired the Reds without incident. Now he deals with Peraza to start the 8th. Tim Adelman ends up giving up 5 runs, 6 hits, and 6+ innings. In a stretch, though, he was very good in this game. He right now is on the hook for the loss. Peraza 0 for 2. Late hop to Ramirez, but he adjusts, makes the play, and Peraza is retired for the first out here in the 8th.
At bat now for the Reds, number 6, Billy Hamilton.
You know, the whip numbers that we were talking about when you start comparing Andrew Miller and the best pitchers around baseball, the best starting pitching job ever done was by Pedro Martinez in 2000, when his whip, walks, hits divided by innings pitched, was .74. Not too long ago, Johnny Cueto had a really good year in 2014. That's when his was .96. Same as was Tom Seaver's back in 1977 when he was a member of the Reds.
Miller looking to get this game to Cody Allen.
Looks like he's in a hurry to do it.
Right now it's a save situation at 5-2. Allen has but one blown save this year, and that was that game that we were talking about earlier back here in Cleveland, when the Reds looked like they were finished on the 24th of May. Had the call overturned at first on the double play and eventually won it on the Cozart hit. Allen had the blown save and the loss. Billy Hamilton strikes out here against Andrew Miller. That's the second out.
It's like Miller got tired of Billy Hamilton fouling off the slider, so he just decided to throw some cheese.
Bullpen ranks we were talking about earlier. ERA at 2.82. That's the top. Save percentage at 81%. That's tops as well. There's the whip at 1.16, second best in the American League. Cozart has a hit tonight. That home run back in the 6th inning. Made it a 1-run game at 3-2 favor of Cleveland. Joey Votto waiting on deck. Started to go. And he's rung up by Todd Tishner, the first base umpire. Zach having said to strike out twice on the night for Cozart.
It's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. You recognize that bat measurement? That is Tim McClellan measuring the bat of George Brett after he just hit a home run. And here he comes. One of the more memorable days of really in my youth watching baseball. George Brett, I've never seen a baseball player more furious than he was when he was rung up for having too much pine tar on his bat. Did not like it one bit. Happened on this date back in 1983 between the Kansas City Royals and the Yankees. He had a home run off of wrist scotches to give the Royals a 5-4 lead in that ball game. Yankees manager Billy Martin came at the urging of Don Zimmer, the bench coach, to come out and challenge the home run because of the pine tar being too far up the bat. As it turned out, the American League president Lee McPhail overruled the umpires.
Yeah, so they had to finish the game.
And the home run stood. The game was resumed on August the 18th.
And Kansas City ended up hanging on to win the game. Yeah. Interesting that the home run, stood, but Brett's ejection also stood, so he was thrown out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, though. That's one of the more memorable events in my baseball youth as well. Tony Cingrani comes on to work here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Jose Ramirez turns around, bats from the right side.
On this pitch, it almost seems like batter and pitcher fall down. Cingrani certainly does. That's putting everything you got into it.
It looked like he turned his ankle there at the end also. Ball going to be handled by Billy Hamilton. Tony doing a little landscaping on the mound out there. You could see on the replay his ankle rolled a little bit. Down he went. Luckily for him that Ramirez swung and missed at the pitch. Imagine that threw his timing off a little bit right there, talking about Ramirez. We're into the 9th inning. I'll have Votto, Suarez, and Jeanette. Hoping to be down no more than their current deficit of 5-2. Santana's home run in the 7th inning gave the Tribe a 4-2 lead. Later a hit by Bradley Zimmer made it 5-2. That's where we are now, bottom of the 8th.
Well, Santana may be off a little bit as far as his season numbers, but in this Ohio Cup competition, he's having one heck of a series against the Reds so far this year. Got a walk and a home run tonight. Came into this ball game with a home run and a .364 batting average against the Reds this year.
He rips this ball into left, and it's a home run. A 2-home run game for Carlos Santana, and it's 6-2.
Well, he saves the best for the Reds. This is the first time this year he's had a multi-home run game. Hit one left-handed, one right-handed, one to right field, one to left field.
Four-run lead now for the Tribe. That is the 20th multi-home run game to 19 different players the Reds have given up this year. Encarnacion did it back on the 23rd of May against the Redlegs, and now Santana does it here tonight.
I want to send out birthday greetings tonight to our good buddy Joe Oliver, former Reds catcher who's now managing in the Red Sox organization. He's managing down in Salem, Virginia. And I was kind of texting him back and forth last night after, I think, 11-inning game. He had a 7.5-hour bus ride for tonight's game, which was rained out. Nothing like those minor league bus rides, huh?
Been there, done that.
You know those a little bit, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing that has not changed about minor league baseball.
No, it is not.
It's the way you feel after coming off one of those bus rides.
There are more and more busing now, even in the higher levels of the minor leagues. All of that changed after 9/11.
In fact, I hopped on the Salem Red Sox website and found it, and you'll probably be very interested in this, that on August the 5th they were having big time wrestling night there, and Nature Boy Ric Flair will be there in person. How about that?
Well, for those who like that kind of thing, I know Jim Day is a big wrestling fan. I know Marty is a big wrestling fan.
He'll be joined by Big Papa Pump.
Brandon Guyer, by the way, pinch hitting here, and he is rung up on strikes. On that delivery by Tony Cingrani to retire the side. Reds Live pregame here on Fox Sports Ohio, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Next edition tomorrow night. Reds are in New York at Yankee Stadium to take on the Yankees. 6:30 with Reds Live. And who's on that Yankee club now? The former Red, Todd Frazier. 5 years with Cincinnati. How about 108 home runs, including the home run derby title, the All-Star game 2 years ago. Drafted by the Reds, came up through the Reds farm system. Ultimately brought them Peraza and Schebler. Now a member of the New York Yankees. Brandon Geyer, who pinch hit for Abraham Almonte and took a call third strike, stays in the game. He's now in right field. Cody Allen, one blown save, that against the Reds back on the 23rd of May, into the game here in the ninth. Votto been on twice tonight, a base hit his last time. Miller goes 2, allows 1 hit. And now it's Cody Allen. Votto hit by a pitch. Rode in on him at no balls and 2 strikes. And Votto is aboard to start the 9th inning. 4th time he's been hit this year.
Fortunately for Votto, kind of a glancing blow right there. Not saying it doesn't hurt when you get hit by a mid-90s fastball, but fortunately it didn't get him square and in an area where it would really bother him. I'm surprised actually he's not hit more, given the fact that so many teams pitch him inside.
.62 game. This is a non-save situation for Cody Allen. Suarez 0 for 3. Reds have had only 7 base runners in tonight's game. The most recent, Votto, hit by a pitch to start this inning. That's strike 3 call on a 2-2 pitch. Allen gets the call he wants from Bill Miller. Out number 1.
Now approaching the plate for the Reds, the designated hitter, Scooter Gennett.
And a according to Fox, tracks outside the strike zone.
Well, you could argue maybe too close to take in the situation that it is.
Now it's Scooter Gennett, homered back in the 5th.
If I'm not mistaken, Gennett homered with a white bat, and now he's back to his red bat.
Yeah, in fact, noticed it over the weekend that he had gone away from the red bats for at least a couple of games.
Maybe Jim Day can find out something, whether there's a method to that. Probably is something more than superstition anyway.
With his home run back in the 5th, his 18th. Down and in, and a block back there by Perez.
So now being told by the guys in the truck, Josh Hall and company, that maybe this is the same bat that Scooter did use to hit the home run. Just looked a little different color as the that was before the sunset.
They can call up the video evidence to prove it.
Well, if he hits another one right here, we'll do that.
He, of course, had that 4 home run game back on the 6th of June at home against St. Louis. First player in Reds franchise history to get 4 home runs in a game. Stays alive with a foul ball. Toward the second baseman. There's an out. There's another one. That's a double play. And that ends the game. The Cleveland Indians hang on to the Ohio Cup as the 2 teams from the Buckeye State split the 4 games this year. Indians win it here on this makeup game Monday by a final score 6-2 over the Reds. Carlos Santana with a pair of home runs tonight is the most outstanding player in this year's Ohio Cup competition. He had 2 tonight. He had a home run earlier this year against the Reds. Again, he is the most outstanding player of the Ohio Cup in 2017. 6-2 final. Indians a winner. Back with more after this.